What's going on, everyone? Jonathan here with the Aymin Audio Experience. We are here in the self-made training facility in San Marcos, California, talking to Alicia Jones and Corey Jones. They're co-owners of this space here, and we have an incredible story for you. I'm really excited to present this episode. Let's check it out. All right, so thank you so much, Corey, Alicia. Sitting down here with my wife, Juliana, and thank you so much for having us in your space.
Yeah, of course.
Tell us a little bit about this space. So where are we right now?
We are in our private training facility in San Marcos. It's a private facility for trainers to run independent training businesses, so clients can come here and train with their trainer, basically without having the membership gym and everything that comes with the membership gym. So essentially, we're just a small private facility that, if you look around, has the capacity of almost a full-size gym.
Yeah, absolutely. And the self-made brand, I think, is really cool, and I followed them for a little while, and I followed both of you for a little while, and really excited to be talking to you today because my wife and I work together, and I know both of you work together, and something that I feel like is a topic that's not really talked about that often is the advantages and challenges or disadvantages of working with your spouse. And I know you both have experienced that probably at different points. You have kids as well?
Yeah, we have
two kids. So we're in that same boat. We have three. Our youngest daughter's one. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your history in becoming gym owners here and being business owners. Take us back kind of as far as you want to take us and into getting into this gym here.
I think you're going to see some of the difficulties as we're speaking right now, because you'll notice like we keep looking at each other. Both of us kind of have type A personalities, so when given a question, both of us want to reach out and answer. So that right there is just going to kind of show you guys right off the bat. But as far as the history of us being here, when I met Alicia, I was actually in the Marines. So entrepreneurship is new to us. Training is somewhat new to us. Everything really happened over the last few years. I was in the Marines from 2007 to 2017. And then upon getting out, her and I both had a passion for fitness, kind of stemmed from her going through her postpartum journey and then us wanting to make it a career eventually after getting out of the Marines. So it started in 2017. I got out. I was looking for a job. She was looking for a job as well, but more so the independent route. So I'll kind of let her go over that aspect. But we came into self-made, and that coming in here after getting out of the Marines 3 weeks after I got out was kind of what changed everything, just walking into this building. And I'll let her go ahead and explain how that went. Because
I was going to say, you definitely didn't waste any time. I mean, you went right away. You didn't kind of hang out at all or take any breaks or anything. You went directly from being in the Marines right away to let's figure something out.
From being institutionalized to ultimate freedom.
Yeah.
And so it was really scary for both of us. But just to backtrack a little bit, I became a personal trainer after spending almost 8.5 years in payroll. So I sat behind a desk and punched numbers all day, and I hated it. But once I got into fitness, it was initially just to lose the baby weight. I started to fall in love with it, and I started wanting to compete. And so one thing led to another. So I told him, I was like, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to become a personal trainer. And he's like, you've literally been working out for 7 months. And I was like, it's fine. We can do this, I'm always kind of the initiator, the crazy one. And then he's like, all right, cool. And we just kind of go with it. But so he was like, all right, let's do it. So I became a personal trainer, worked at 24 Hour Fitness for a year. He was going to get out of the military, so we were going to move back to San Diego from Hawaii after being gone for close to 4 years.
And you both were living in Hawaii at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
is that where you're stationed?
Yeah.
Yes, that was my last duty station.
Yeah, that was his last one. So we were like, we're about to move, from Hawaii back to San Diego, which it was home for us. So there was familiar, faces and stuff. So that was reassuring. But in that transition alone, we added, let's both change our careers, So I was like, I'm going to just do online training. And I hated in-person training because I had trained at 24 Hour Fitness, and I just felt miserable. I hated it. So I was like, maybe personal training is not for me. I'll just do the online thing. At the time I was competing, I was vlogging, so I was going to just stay in the online space. I think we were literally, wasn't it 2 days after we got here? right? That we were walking around looking for like a nutrition shop or whatever, just to go get supplements, and someone just was like, "Hey, did you guys check out that gym that's new? It's up the street or whatever." So we walked over here, and we stumbled in here, and the owners at the time were here. There wasn't weights anywhere, like all the pieces were everywhere, but it wasn't built yet.
Okay.
And I was like, "What is this place?" And the owner's like, "Oh, it's a private training facility for independent personal trainers." And I was like, "What the hell's an independent personal trainer?" And they're like, "Well, you're your own boss, you run your own business." And I was like, oh my God. It was like my eyes lit up like it was Disneyland, and I was 7 years old.
Well, and was that the struggle that you felt being at 24 Hour Fitness?
Oh, yeah.
Was that you kind of weren't your own boss?
Yeah, I was handicapped in so many ways, and I think a lot of the reason why people become personal trainers is because they want to help people, they want to physically train people, they want to do things their way. Everyone has a different style, so you kind of had to do things their way, and it was all about selling. It was not about training people. I had no say in what I did. I just had to train session after session, and I had to make sales like constantly, which I was great at, so it kind of was fun in a way, but I didn't go to personal training to sell. I went to obviously train.
I was gonna say, it's probably not that fulfilling.
No.
Because you're put in this situation where you're forced to sell.
Yeah, it's not
something
fun.
that maybe you didn't feel like was right for the person that you were working with.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
No, that happened
Yeah.
all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say not only the fact that she was going to be her own boss, but in the training industry there's a lot of demand for it, and if you've ever looked into personal training prices, it's not something that's cheap.
No.
However, they have these trainers working at these corporate gyms, grinding, working 10, 12-hour days, making about $15 an hour, when they're making sales that are about 90 to anywhere from $90 to $110 an hour. So the corporation's taking all the money. So it's not just about the freedoms, which
And you see the money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you see.
I
she
mean, I
makes
charged
sales.
a card.
Oh wow.
she would make one sale a month, which would be about the same amount of money that she'd make on a 2-week paycheck. So one sale
in
for
the
one
independent
client.
space, I would, if I sold one package, I would make more than what I would sell selling a ton of packages at 24.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So there's a lot
Kinda
that goes
see what
into
you're saying, too.
yeah. Basically, she might sell a $1,500 package working at a corporate gym for one client to come in and train with her, and then for 2 weeks she gets paid $1,500. But that's not her only sale. So
Yeah.
she's making 10 sales in that 2 weeks, but she's getting about 10% of what she actually sells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of also the problem, is the hours that they put in, or that we put in as trainers, the amount of research and study and practice and all that stuff that goes into creating our value. We want to be reimbursed for it. It's a lot of work.
You feel kind of robbed
So,
by that.
so as you're walking here, then you had not started training yet, because you were already in the fitness space.
No.
You competed, right? And then you had a passion for it as well.
So I actually had a much longer background in fitness than her. I was in the Marines for 10 years, so we had to be fit. I grew up playing sports. I got into weightlifting in 2010. She really jumped on board with me in 2015. So I had about 5 years of experience. It was what I love to do. I'd helped many Marines get in good shape. It was something I was very passionate about. I was just in the Marines, so I couldn't be doing it as a career.
Yeah.
However, my goal was to get certified as soon as I got out and make it a career.
Okay.
But it was we knew what we were doing when I was getting out of the Marines.
Gotcha. So then you're walking in here 3 weeks out, or no, 3 weeks after being here.
Sorry, it was actually 3 days. I said a few weeks, but she
Yeah, it
corrected
was
it.
a
Yes,
couple
a couple
days.
days.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple days, you're walking around, walking to this spot, you're like, what is this? You see a lot of your eyes light up because you see a lot of the disadvantages with the
the
corporate
solution,
training model.
yeah.
And then, so what happens?
Well, when I walked in here, I was like, sign me up, send me a contract. I need to work here. So I got really excited. And I was like, dude, you got to do it too. And he was obviously a little bit more nervous because we had just come from being like super stable, with the military's income and healthcare and all of that, to he's shifting his career and he's going to be working for himself as a personal trainer. So he was a little bit nervous. So he was actually like, you can do this. Well, first he was like, do you think you can actually afford the rent?
I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah, he was like, do you
Not
think you
gonna lie.
can do that? And I was like, hell yeah, I can do that. Are you crazy? Like, if I can sell a $1,500 package at 24 Hour Fitness, I can cut that price in half, and there goes my rent, like I pay for my rent, and then
Yeah.
that's one client. So my whole schedule's open.
Yeah,
So
you're
in
like,
my
just one
mind, I was
client.
like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm good. I got this. And he was like, he believed in me, so he was like, all right, let's do it. But I'm going to work at 24. And I was like, oh my God.
I had actually applied for a job. Well, here's the thing is I knew all
okay.
the cons. Like, I knew, obviously, being married to her and her working at 24 Hour Fitness, I knew all the bad stuff that came with it.
Yeah.
But my mindset was, I just did 10 years in the Marines. I've sucked it up for 10 years.
Yeah.
I can transition into something where I'm learning the job. I'm getting my feet wet, which, by the way, I'm kind of against ever getting your feet wet anymore after the life changes we've gone through. But I wanted a little bit more stability to kind of learn the job. Like she said, I was not only changing my career, but I was going independent. That to me was too much at the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big U-turn.
It is.
Yeah.
Full independence from extremely limited
in a different field, completely different field.
Wow.
So she was going from corporate trainer to independent trainer. I was going from Marine to independent trainer. It just didn't feel right to me. So I applied it for a job at 24 Hour Fitness. I got approved for a job, and then they were supposed to send me a background check email, and days were going by, and I'm like, look, I got a child to feed. I got rent to pay. We had like $3,000 to our name after getting out of the Marines. So I'm somewhat of an impatient person as it is, but I couldn't wait for somebody. I couldn't leave it in somebody else's control. Yeah. So I texted her. I was like, I'm gonna do it with you, because she was asking me to.
Hell yes,
I was terrified, but I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna be struggling or like scared or feel like I'm under pressure, I'm at least do it on my own terms. Yeah. So I joined.
Take action right away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I fail, it's my own failure, and I'm not leaving it up to somebody else in a corporation to ultimately help me fail. You know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of where we went with that.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I actually worked at 24 Hour Fitness. I worked at 24 Hour Fitness and LA Fitness back at one of my many jobs that I accumulated along the way. But I wasn't ever a trainer. I just worked like front desk and
membership,
all the membership side of things. But I saw a lot of what happened with the trainers there.
Yeah.
And I think there was a widespread like dissatisfaction with how things were going, and the fact that they did have to consistently sell, and they felt like there was a big disconnect between what was being sold and the person they were selling it to. It seemed like it didn't make any sense.
It's just not organic.
It's
not natural to, I don't know, at least for me, it obviously wasn't for me for that reason.
I think that's the most important part too, is there are people who do belong in a corporation, because training in itself is a skill. It's a skill that takes a lot of preparation throughout the years to obtain. So is running a business, as you guys know. It's that in itself. Each one is essentially a business. So now you're combining two businesses. Some people just want to train. They don't want the pressures of running a business. So we have nothing negative to say about the corporations.
It's just not for us.
Personally, we saw that there was a lot of things that we disliked about it.
Yeah.
After her having worked at a corporation.
Yeah, and for me, it was also that when I know that my career is in my hands, I see that as opportunity. The sky's the limit, because I know what I'm capable of. I know how hard I work, and I know if I'm doing something that I really love, it's gonna work. Like there's no way that it's gonna fail. But if I am doing something I love for someone else, I feel like there's a cap at my potential, because I'm always going to be under someone else. And so for me, I was like, I just need to be free. Like, I need to be like a butterfly. Like, let me fly. And I think him, obviously, like coming from the military, it was a really weird thing for him at first. But if you know this man, he does not belong under someone's management. So I think it ended up working really well, because we were both just, like he said, our personalities, we just needed to work for ourselves. And so once that we signed the contracts and we got in here, we had our full schedule, but before the doors even opened, because we were ready to rock and roll. Like it came, but we worked really hard too to get.
So talk me through that first. So you have $3,000 to your name. You're putting, a quarter, a third of that, more maybe, towards the
rent here.
The rent here. How do you go about getting your first couple clients?
Well, first of all, the $3,000 to our name was cash. We put the rent on a credit card. We're like, you know what? We're going to look at this as our first small business loan.
I like that. There we go.
We didn't have a lot of leeway, so we went out, got a credit card. We're like, this isn't a business credit card, but it's our business credit card. This is our business loan. So we started swiping that for
the rent.
We invested a lot. Like it didn't. The total cost didn't seem like that much, but for what we had at the time and what we were willing to put into it, it was a huge risk for us. So that's kind of how we did the whole financial aspect. And then getting clients was, I think, the fire it lit underneath both of us, having that risk that we were taking. Again, we have children. You know, it's a lot less scary, I think, to do when you're on your own, but we had a lot at stake. So that kind of lit a fire underneath us to go out and get those clients.
Yeah, sink or swim kind of thing. Like we work really well under pressure, even though it's not comfortable. Like, if you give me, like, you're here and you need to be here, or this is going to happen, I'm going to go as quick as I can, because I know that there's no safety net. So for me, it kind of pushes me to work harder. And I think the same thing happened with him. We were both like, we're about to be broke, and, you know, we don't have jobs. Like, we need to figure this out. So we would do interviews. Instagram was really where we went first, and
Facebook, Instagram.
We started with our immediate network, which is our friends and our family. We offered really killer deals. We're like,
we hustled.
We're building our business. We need every single person that wants a trainer to come and see us. And so we cut our prices completely in half just to build up the clientele. So that, one, we looked really busy because we were. So we were able to use their transformations. We were able to get experience in hands, you know, with hands-on in the facility. There's lots of reasons why. I mean, it worked out. It kind of sucked at first because you are not making as much as you want to make. But sometimes you do got to start at the bottom and work your way up. And we were both willing to do that. So, yeah, Instagram is how we did it.
Yeah, we were actually, like she said, there was no equipment in here. So when we did a consultation, it wasn't like we could bring them to the gym and run them through a workout. I was meeting people at Starbucks. She's kind of good at, like, just talking to people online and getting them to commit. Yeah. I have to do my thing in person. Yeah. I can't do it online quite like she can. So I would invite people to local Starbucks and I'd just go talk to them. Nice. So end up signing clients up.
So there wasn't any equipment in the gym yet?
Because were they building it?
It was brand new. It was they had the painting on the walls. This desk was plywood.
This was in the middle over there.
It was in the middle over there, but there was nothing in here. This desk was the only piece of equipment. They were in the building phase.
Gotcha.
But we had committed just off the concept of the business.
Yeah, we didn't even see how awesome. And when we walked in, once it was done, we're like,
it was even better.
Shit,
yeah.
awesome.
They showed us what the original one looked like, because this is the second franchise. So at the time, this was the third one being built.
This is the second franchise?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
And now there's, I think, 19 or something like that.
There's 21 sold and 19 are
yeah. So
up and running.
It was a lot of faith. But yeah, I mean, when I started meeting with people at Starbucks and she started meeting with them online, we actually had customers paying us to start training at a later date because they really wanted it. And the opening of the gym kept getting pushed back. So I have all these people's money and I'm like ready to train them, and then we would get notification that the equipment was coming in later. So we're like, what do we do? What do we tell people? I was like adding sessions to their things. I'm like, you bought 12, you're gonna get 14. Don't worry, we got you.
Yeah.
But once it finally opened, we just hit the floor running anymore.
Yeah.
We had clients. I was the first trainer to ever train a client in this building. They finished putting the stuff together at like 4 in the morning one day. They did it overnight. I trained a client at 6 in the morning that morning, just because I didn't want to wait any longer.
And you had commitments that you made to people.
Yeah.
You had already taken their money. That's really cool. Okay, so then what happens between that time when you're trainers and then now as your gym owners?
Man.
I know there's a lot, so let's start to unpack that a little bit.
Okay.
Well, I think the biggest changes was we were doing competitive bodybuilding at the time. So in 2017, we were training clients and doing competitive bodybuilding. I've always been, like, my dream has always been to be a professional fighter. I had a shoulder injury in the past, and age wasn't on my side. I had a bunch of excuses, but she would kind of see me light up every time we'd watch fights or like watch documentaries and stuff. So and you'll notice that a lot of these stories are probably gonna have the same trend, is we're really good at doing this to each other, but her more so to me is just kind of like pushing me over the edge when I need that push.
He's safer than I am. I'm a little reckless.
If I have something that I want to pursue and I'm kind of on the fence, she's gonna come and just Sparta kick me right off that fence,
Nice.
So she's like, dude, quit talking about it. Let's go find a gym and get you signed up. So that was kind of where the big shift happened, because we were doing well. We were training bodybuilders. We were competing as bodybuilders. Business was going well, but we didn't have any big plans on anything to change. Once that happened, I completely changed my training regimen back to something that I used to love to do and that I was very passionate about. And for us, when one idea always leads to another. So I'm going to train here. I'm going to train. I'm going to fight. Well, why not go to Thailand? That was her idea.
I literally was like, wouldn't it be cool to train like Muay Thai in Thailand? And my thing was like, I want a vacation. Like, I'm so down to go, watch him. Yeah, like that would be awesome. And the time lapse was a year between. So we trained for a year. We built the business for a full year, because the reason why we were able to take off when we did was our lease was going to be up. So it had just hit, like literally 30 days. It had just hit. They gave us a notice. Do you want to stay or do you want to go? And I was like, dude, this is our ticket out. Like, we need to figure out how to make this happen. So I had told him, he kept saying, it's not the right time. Like, I'm injured and all these different excuses. And I was like, what would you say to your client if your client was like, my ultimate dream in life is to be a professional fighter, but I'm older, or I haven't started yet, or I have a shoulder injury? You would be like, dude, just do it. Like, just push yourself and go through the awkwardness of it and go through all the phases. And he's like, yeah, you're right. So we were like, let's go to Thailand.
Thanks. You use your own coaching
She
psychology.
did.
I know.
against you.
Everything
Every
I know,
coach
honestly,
needs a coach.
is from him, too. So it's kind of funny how that works, because he taught me most of all the stuff I know when it comes to training.
That's likely one of the dynamics that helps us get to where we are, is we're able to kind of work with each other like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a friend in Thailand at the time. He was a former trainer here. He started training with us when we started training here, and he went off to Thailand. And I was kind of seeing him live my dream. So when she said that, I was like, the first thing I did, we're big on taking action. So the first thing I did was pick up my phone, message him on Instagram, like, hey, what's it look like to live out there? Like, what are the expenses? Like, how much am I looking at if I take my family out there? And he broke it down, and it just sounded like the easiest thing in the world to do. It's like, dude, we can convert our personal training business to online, because our clients were very loyal to us. Pretty much every client that was training with me at the time had been training with me since we started the gym, or since we started training at the gym. So we thought that we could take them and convert them to online clients, bring their cost down significantly, but almost allow us to make more, since the cost of living in Thailand was so much less than it was in California. So this all happened with in a matter of a jacuzzi talk. We were in the jacuzzi one day, we're figuring these things out. The next day we went and put our 30-day notice in for our lease.
Wow.
It makes perfect sense. I don't know, if we
just,
think about it too long, it's probably not going to happen.
Well, at that point, you just had your one son, right?
Yeah, sorry, I always say kids, but yeah, we just had our toddler. He was 3 at the time. So.
Yeah, well, and this is the part that I find super interesting. So you go to Thailand. This is a year after you start. I love, by the way, the speed that you guys do everything with.
It's
awesome.
play.
You're like 17. We're out. Okay, we're business owners now. We're gonna do our little training thing. Okay, actually, why not go to Thailand? This seems great.
Yeah.
Let's do there.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the story.
Come back and level
we're
up.
here. I mean, it's 2019, so we're not. It's not like we're talking 2024 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 or 7 or 8 years of doing this. But okay, so you go to Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you live there. What about everything here? Because you had family here, right?
Yeah, everybody was here. So we told them, so there was a time frame. He was in school. So as he mentioned before, he was in school. So we chose that time frame because of his summer break. So he was going to school for biochem.
At Cal State?
Yes.
Cal
Okay,
State,
that was the Cal State. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So he was going to school and working full time. So we decided, okay, we're going to Thailand, but when can we go? And he was like, well, I have to
Once
go
I finish
during
my semester,
yeah.
pretty much.
So we were like, all right, when is the day that you're out of class? I think we booked our tickets 2 days after he got out of class. So once all of those dates kind of just started happening, we had to be out of our apartment. So I was like, let's find somewhere to live for the last 30 days. Let's get rid of all of our stuff and find somewhere to stay. We were going to stay with stay with family, but it's like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to stay with family when you have a kid and then it's like you're a unit, So I started looking on Airbnb and I found an Airstream, and it was like a 1970 something Airstream, so it wasn't updated. It was like
old school.
It was all brown inside. And I was like, I sent him the link and I was like, what about this? And he's like, you would want to live in that? Because he's down. He'll live in the roughest.
I was in the Marines for 10 years.
And I'm kind of a diva. I like
Same.
my luxuries. And he's like, you would do that? I was like, dude, that'd be so sick to live in that for 30 days and then go to Thailand.
60 days, I think it was.
Was it 60?
I believe so.
Maybe
Whatever.
it started
60.
off as 30 and then rolled into 60.
No, it was. I think it was.
Because we went from March
60
to May. We were in the
Okay.
Airstream
Yeah, you're
from
right,
March
you're right.
until May.
Yeah. So we put all of our stuff in storage or gave a ton of it away.
We sold a lot of stuff. We gave a lot of stuff away.
And then
downsized.
we downsized. We took a huge duffel bag each. That was what we were allowed to take. For anybody that knows me, I was so proud. I posted a photo on Instagram, look guys, I did it. I was really proud of myself. So we downsized, lived in there for, I guess, 2 months, and then we took off. The
craziest part.
During this whole time, we were trying to get pregnant for our second child.
Until before we moved into the Airstream. Once we moved into the Airstream and decided to go to Thailand,
done.
we stopped trying.
Yeah. And so we struggled with a little bit of infertility with our son. So it took us about 2 years of trying, and then obviously we got pregnant. But this time it was about going close to, was it 8 months, 9 months, something like that. And we decided let's just chill. Let's just go to Thailand. Let's enjoy it. I'll be able to work out and do a lot of good content because I'll be in different cool gyms, and let's travel or vlog our travels. And so that was the game plan. And then 2 weeks before we were to leave, I found out I was pregnant, and it was I was so happy, obviously, because we had totally stopped trying and it was unexpected.
Such a mix of emotions.
It was
Oh
bittersweet
my
for
gosh.
sure. We were very happy that she was pregnant.
We almost
but
called the trip off.
I was very upset because I thought I was going to have to call the trip off. I was like, well, I'm obviously happy that we're having another kid now.
It's bittersweet almost.
But I was, bittersweet. It was bummed that what we were about to do wasn't going to happen
like,
anymore.
That kind of throws a wrench in everything, especially with it being Southeast Asia. There was the Zika virus, and so everyone's like, you can't go.
A lot of people are trying to talk us, like, say, like, it's, don't do this, don't do that.
Let me talk to my doctor. I'll figure it. My whole thing with life is figure it out. Like, I won't really, there's very few situations where I'll actually just back up and be like, no, I can't do this.
Handle it.
I usually will figure out a way to make it happen. And I will do whatever it takes to make it happen. So anyways, I talked to my doctor. We weighed out the pros and cons, and I was like, YOLO. So we went.
I love it.
I was like, I just won't get bit. So we'll be fine. So I just
brought
didn't want to
of,
pull that dream from under him. Like, he was about to go for it. And I don't know. I guess I have a good feeling of, like, things are going to work out. I'm not going to live my life in fear, you know? So we did. We went to Thailand.
We did. This was there for 3 months. Goal was to fight out there. I ended up getting injured the first month we were there. I had 2 screws in my shoulder and I actually fractured them. So I had floating screw around. And I didn't think the injury was that bad, so I ended up pushing through the training and still getting one fight while I was there. But it wasn't until I got back that I realized how bad the injury was. Mm-hmm. But we couldn't be more happy that we ended up taking that trip because we almost backed out of it. And this is kind of a trend with us, is that we don't let the outside distractions or the repercussions or the potential of consequences stop us from doing things. We're like, this is on our mind. We're going to do it. If we have to learn the hard way a little bit, we'll learn the hard way. But it turned out to be one of the coolest times of our lives. Mm-hmm. We visited 6 different countries. My son he still says hello in Thai every once in a while, and he like bows to people.
Mm-hmm. How old is he then?
He's 4. Well, he's going to be 5 in December.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it was a good experience for him. It was. There was a lot of ups and downs there as well because
my emotions. I was hormonal.
It wasn't the easiest pregnancy at times, and we were in another country.
Yeah.
It was hot and muggy. The food.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there was all kinds of factors.
Food. Oh my gosh.
Oh, the food was the big one for me because I'm pretty picky. He can eat anything, but yeah, I'm really picky. And the whole reason I wanted to go, not the whole reason, but part of the reason for me was like I wanted to train. I wanted to work out in, they have really cool gyms, and where we lived, it's a street where people come to train for fights and for other things, CrossFit, things like that. So it was all fitness. Like you'd walk down the street and there's little stands, and it's all like protein ice cream, protein yogurts, like just smoothies and healthy stuff. So it's kind of like a dream for a meathead, like, or somebody that wanted to.
A fitness enthusiast paradise.
Nice.
So
because you're in paradise.
By the time that we had got there, though, I was only able to train like 2 or 3 times before I found out that I had. Well, they thought that I had placenta previa, so my doctor there put me on like pelvic rest. So my entire trip there, I wasn't able to train. So now the one thing that I was really looking forward to got taken, and I'm like sitting in my villa, and he's getting to train, and I wanted him to, but it kind of made it harder for him because then I was bored. So instead of us going to the gym and spending our days at the gym, I was like, let's go look around and let's go shopping. And he was like, oh man, that's not really why I came here, but you got to make my pregnant wife happy. So it was kind of a struggle. The pregnancy kind of threw things for a loop for that reason, because I just wanted to
turn into a vacation.
It turned into a vacation.
Nice.
We were supposed to go there and like live below our means and save money and just kind of experience the culture of Thailand. We ended up going to 6 different countries though.
Nice.
And lived a little bougie at times.
Yeah,
that's kind of awesome too, though. You had the shoulder issue and then the pregnancy, so there are all these kind of totally unexpected things that came about as you do this whole journey.
It did not go as planned.
Yeah. But we worked around it. We figured out a way. We're like, whatever, we're close, let's travel places. And so we made a good time out of it, to say the least. But he still got to fight, so he was not leaving without fighting. And I was like, oh my God, babe, please. Like, you're injured. We were vacationing a week before his fight. He was in the hospital for dehydration. Actually,
it was probably the worst lead up for any athletic event.
He wasn't even.
He
was not even working out. Like, he would go to our hotel gyms and like, what would you do, run or something?
So
but like,
basically 12 days before the fight, I was in the hospital because I had gotten the stomach bug from being so not picky with the food out there. I don't know what I ate, but it caused me to like be on the toilet for days, and I got so dehydrated that I had to go to the hospital. When we got there, the doctor was like, dude, it's a good thing you came in, because had you waited any longer, like, you may not be here right now. It was that bad.
Yeah.
I'm a little stubborn when it comes to that kind of stuff though, so she finally got me to go. I spent the night in the hospital just having IVs pumped through me the whole day. We got out of the hospital, like boogie back to our villa to pack our bags to go catch our cab to the airport so we could go to Singapore, because we had a Singapore trip planned. You had to leave the country every 30 days to renew your visa.
Okay.
And that was like on day 29 that I was being released. So we had to get out of there. We went to Singapore for 5 days. So when we got back from Singapore, I was 5 days out from the fight I had signed up for. I ran on the treadmill a few times in Singapore, got back, trained 2 or 3 times, and went for
Not
it.
exactly how people prepare for a Muay Thai fight in Thailand, which is where they kind of do things raw there. I mean,
it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
2 weeks for me, fight included.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But I'm happy
But
I did it,
you
because
did it.
had I not, to this day, I'd still be thinking about it.
Yeah.
Still be thinking about it. What if I did? What if I, why didn't I? And so I'm happy.
That would have happened with the pregnancy if you were like, oh, we're not going to go because of the pregnancy. You would have been thinking like, man, it would have been so fun to go, but we were pregnant, and that was kind of a good reason. But still, you would have had that in the back of your mind as something you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's transition here. I feel like we could just talk about this.
We could
the whole time, but so quickly, kind of briefly walk us through coming back here and then switching from being trainers at this gym to gym owners. And I want to talk about that a little bit more, because that's kind of where the working together thing comes in. And a lot of times, when you work together with someone, I'm hearing a lot of the different dynamics between the two of you, but at the same time, the part that I guess I'm really interested in is when you have a spouse, like you were saying in the beginning, and you get along with them and you're like, oh, I love this person, we have complementing skills or abilities, this is perfect. I have friends who, one person might be an entrepreneur, one person isn't an entrepreneur. It sounds like there was some kind of similarities. You were kind of you had a career going on with the military, and then you're getting out of it, more kind of corporate, you're kind of maverick, but then it's like, let's work together. How does that actually become practical? So anyway, as a big lead up, go ahead, go back to the other one.
Well, I think naturally we're both entrepreneurs. I had just been institutionalized for 10 years, so she had gotten kind of a taste of what she wanted, so she was just a few steps ahead of me. It took me getting into it to become that way, so I think that's more something we have in common as opposed to a difference. But when we were in Thailand, we were thinking about coming back and starting up our business, and we're like, okay, well, what's the next big step we take? Because if we get any bit comfortable doing what we're doing, we know it's time to do something new. Like, it's time to change. It's time to level up.
We have to be chasing something.
We need a bigger goal. We need something to scare. We like the fear now. The fear used to kind of push, keep us at bay, but now it's really driving us to do things. So when we were in Thailand, we thought of, hey, I wonder if one of the owners is willing to sell to us, because the gym wasn't in a very good state before we left. A lot of stress, not a lot of money being made. So we knew that there might be a possibility they wanted out. So we approached them while we were in Thailand with about a month and a half to go, and just kind of started talking about it. One of us had the idea of buying it, so we asked them, because you're not going to know unless you ask.
It was literally a DM. Like, we sent a DM like, hey,
are you guys interested?
Trying to sell or what?
Yeah, we get straight to the point. We get straight to. We don't do a lot of thinking. We don't do a lot of planning. If an idea presents itself to us, or if we come up with an idea,
it's happening.
What's the first step? Well, let's ask.
And I put it on my vision board, actually. I think I was training here for like 4 months, and I was like, I want to own one of these. I think I even reached out to Miguel, and I was like, we need to talk. But I wanted this one because I was born and raised over here. Like, this is where I've grown up here. So I was like, I want this location, but
it also happens to be the best one.
Yeah, I love it. But yeah, so when that kind of idea came across, we're like, let's just ask. And so we did, and sure enough, one of them was like, yeah, let's talk about it. So he started taking calls in the middle of the night, like our time difference, and like trying to get negotiations going and whatnot.
Was it another husband and wife couple?
Not
it was
really.
It was investor and then another personal trainer who had become the gym owner. They opened this facility together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so one of the trainers found an investor.
Right.
It was actually his client. They
wow.
worked together at the Self-Made in Temecula, which is where headquarters is.
Trainer client. Mm-hmm.
The trainer and the client came over here and opened one up together.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably presented some of the same issues, I guess, that a marriage would, because they had a different type of relationship.
Like a friendship.
And trainers and clients there's more of like a mentor or like a coaching fatherly relationship, so they went from kind of having somewhat of a family type relationship to business as well. So they probably shared some of those same complications that married couples do when starting business.
And okay, and let's get into that. So you own the gym. What does that look like on any given day? I mean, you're running this gym here. What happens with you when you guys disagree? Because now there's a new. I mean, before when we'll disagree about something, if it's family related, I generally will defer to her or she'll defer to me, and that's kind of the easy one because it's like our family or whatever. But when you both feel very strongly about something professionally, how do you handle that?
It's challenging. No, I don't think it's very easy because we have such strong personalities.
And you said you're both type A.
We're
you're
both very
yeah.
type A. We both like to be in charge and kind of have dominant type personalities, which the more I think about that, the more I think that actually does help us, because I think if one of us was very like submissive and the other was very dominant, that person would be getting their way the whole time. And even though it seems like that might be good, the one who's more submissive may start to build resentment, or may start, maybe I want my idea to be heard too, but it's just such a long shot that they might feel bad about it. When we do have these kind of clashes, they're very strong, strongly opposing forces at first, but I think it's easier for one of us to just be like, you know what, you take this one. I'll let you take it.
One of us has to.
One of us has to budge. I'd say after she had our daughter, she was out of the gym for as far as like running the gym for a little while. So it wasn't my business, but it became my responsibility for a while.
I kind of like disappeared slowly. So
Was
when
that
we
hard
got,
for you?
it was when we got back from Thailand. We got back on August 23rd, and then we signed papers to own this gym on September 27th. So I was like 7 months pregnant, I believe.
I love it.
And so I was like, I am going to have this baby in this gym because I'm going to change. We're going to make this gym like the best gym in San Marcos. So we were really motivated. So we worked really hard leading up to the birth. And then I did have placenta previa, so I actually had to have her 4 weeks early. So it kind of made things complicated. And I started to get, I think I started to get postpartum depression right before I gave birth, because it got really like emotional for me, and I was always crying. And like I didn't want to be in the gym, so I was always home and he was always working. So he would spend 12, 13, 16 hours here, and I'm at home
I had a lot of
pregnant.
16-hour days.
Yeah. So
Like
he kind of started taking over, because I didn't even want anything to do with anything work-related, because I was just trying to stay alive.
Well, was that tough though? Because you go from you're in Thailand, and I assume you're with each other every single day.
Yeah.
You're spending a majority of the day. It sounds like, whether it's shopping or at the gym.
Oh, we
maybe
were
not
always
so much
together.
At the gym, but you're always together, and then you go where you're separate a lot. It sounds like for sometimes really extended periods of time. Was that tough, or was the fact that you were pregnant and experiencing some postpartum depression kind of, that wasn't on your mind as much?
I think that was a lot more challenging than the daily challenges we have running a gym together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, like I said, that aspect became somewhat easier, because, like I said, it was I was running the gym. I didn't really consult her for anything, but me being gone for so long and her being at home with the kids, that caused a lot of friction between the two of us. So the business aspect wasn't so hard at that point. It was more so the marriage and the home life that was taking a hit.
And what type of friction? Sorry, I'm just because I'm super interested.
So she's going through postpartum depression. She's with an infant, and then a 3.5-year-old, 4-year-old. He was 4. He turned 4 2 days after our daughter was born. And he's wild. If you ever meet our son, he's like one of the most wild boys you'll ever meet. So she was at home with the kids, taking him to daycare, picking him up while transporting our daughter in a car seat. She was just taking care of everything at the house.
Anywhere is
and
like.
I was gone for 16 hours a day, and I was in desperation mode. I was terrified that the gym was going to sink, because we had kind of front loaded it before the pregnancy, and then afterwards we saw it kind of declining. So I was just in go mode. And she was always like, she wanted me home. She didn't want me at the gym 16 hours a day.
Yeah,
I felt that
really
I needed to be
it.
there. I was like, look, I need you to be tough here. I need you to help me, because you want me to come hang out with you. I don't want to have to file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to, make this thing
And
happen.
I didn't care at the
and
time. It was hard, because
it seems a little bit of a reversal
it
for
was,
you, like how you're.
I'm usually like a workaholic. I love to work, and he does too. So and that's one thing that works really well, is that we will work really hard. But when I shift gears, there's no gray area. So I'm either 100% workaholic, or I work at nothing. So I'm at home with the kids and the hormones and the baby, and
I think the hormones
struggling
play
with
a big
breastfeeding, like
role.
the whole deal. And he's at work, and he's stressed out for different reasons. He's at work stressing out, and I'm telling him, I'm like, you're on vacation. You get to go to work, and that's a break from your kids. My job's 24 hours a day. So I'm sorry you have 16-hour days, but I have 24-hour days. And we would fight, like, because I would bicker. I mean, I found something wrong with everything he did. And I know now, looking back, I'm like, I was crazy. I apologize over and over, but
Oh, you got her on camera saying that.
I know.
That's like, I think that's like a big moment here.
But yeah, it was a lot of my things that I was dealing with the baby and the postpartum that kind of led to a lot of friction. And it was because he was working so much and I wanted him to be home. He took like 4 days off for paternity leave or whatever, and the whole time he was still like texting trainers and answering questions and whatnot. And he was like, essentially telling me that I need to sacrifice right now because we have to make this gym work. And then I'm like, the gym needs to sacrifice because we have a baby. So that difference, it was really hard. Yeah, it was really hard. But I think what made it level out was that we got therapy. So for me personally, for postpartum, and then he joined me so that he could learn how to speak to me, how to help me, and give him the tools. And once he did that, once he realized, like, I'm not just being a bee, he was like, she really has something going on here. He did just, like, clear his schedule. He was like, I'm going to take a week off. Nobody contact me. So he did do that for me. And once he did, I felt like, okay, he hears me. Like, I'm not just crazy. Yeah. So once he did that, things started to get better. And then I got on medication, which really, really helped me. And then I slowly got excited to get back into the gym. And then he was like, was it cool? Can we breathe? Are we good? And I was like, we good. So from there until now, everything's been a lot better. But that was probably the roughest time of my entire life.
Absolute, hands down.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
And I've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
So that should definitely. I was really questioning, like, what the hell did we do? And that's a constant.
With having the new baby or the business. Oh, I mean,
buying the gym at the time we did.
At the same time, yeah.
Okay.
I was
The
like,
baby
we
was
should've waited.
a non-negotiable. She was coming out, you know. It was the fact that we bought the gym before seeing how we were going to handle having a second kid. And a lot of people will tell us online, like, how we're marriage goals and they think our marriage is perfect and whatnot. But if you learn about the behind the scenes and what actually goes into our relationship, it's just a lot of work. We put a lot of work into the gym. We put a lot of work into parenting, into our relationship. We're both very prideful. Like I said, we're type A's. We think we're right. You know, we butt heads at times, but we're also willing to say, you know what, whether I think I'm right or not, I don't know, we can go get help together. Yeah. And that's been huge for us.
Yeah.
Because we clash. You know, we have our differences.
Yeah.
Was that modeled for you by someone, or was that just kind of like when both of you got married? And I guess the reason behind this question is I know so many people that they kind of get that butting heads thing, and then it's very much like, well, maybe this isn't for us. Either the marriage or the working together or the, you know, whatever, fill in the blank. So at what point do you decide to kind of like go together, like butt heads and then go together in one direction or the other? Or versus, you know, just say maybe not.
Most people would just stop. I don't know. I don't know what makes us do it. I've
stubborn?
never had. We are very, very stubborn, and we don't like to quit. We're definitely not one to just be like, I'm going to fail at this. It's fine. I'll make up for it later. We, like he said, we're very prideful, and we have expectations for ourselves. So I never had anybody like to look up to that would like speak to you properly and go to counseling and show you to work on things. My parents split up like every other family, you know, so I didn't really have that, but I almost think that because I didn't have that, it made me feel like I can't do that to my kids. I have to make this work. Plus, I really do love him. So why would I want to like be away from him? Why would I want to make this miserable? I need to figure out to swallow my pride and just, am I doing something wrong? I don't know. Let's have someone else, not you, someone else tell me that I need to work on this, this, and that. And he's not really into like, let's go to therapy and do all that. But I think when you love someone and you are desperate and you're like, I need to figure this out, you just do. Yeah, you do. You make the sacrifice. And so he agreed to it. And then it kind of works to have somebody else as your mediator and to see each other's point of views. It all comes down to communication. Every single thing was just how he would say something or how he would receive something, or like it almost seems so silly. You're like, oh my God, we were fighting about that, but you have someone else kind of break it down for you. So I don't think there's really been a time where we were actually like, you know, I don't think this is going to work. We said, I don't think this is going to work. We need help. But
I don't think it's going to work the way we're going about it.
Like we need to figure it out.
And we both have the mindset that nothing in life that's great really is ever going to come easy. It's always going to take work. So knowing that, like, I don't believe in soulmates. We don't think that the circumstances are ever going to be perfect or dictate. You know, like we don't leave things up to circumstances. Our circumstances right now are we're having friction. It's up to us to fix that. It's up to us to figure out. And if that means going to somebody else for help, we're going to do that. If that means sitting down and giving each other a timer, saying like, this is my 2 minutes. You don't say a word. Just let me, whatever it takes, you know. We're willing to put in that work though, because I don't think no matter who I'm with in life, there's going to be differences.
Yeah.
There's going to be friction. There's going to be people who don't agree with me.
Yeah,
It's
we
about
have
how
too
you
much
handle
to
those
just
circumstances.
Be like, oh, let's try again later, or try someone else. Like we have businesses together, we have
been together
a
for 10
marriage,
years.
we've been 10 years, 2 kids. Like it's just too much to walk away from. But ultimately, if I was that unhappy, I would. But I just couldn't see myself without
It's not
him.
the circumstances.
So we just had to figure out a way to make it work. So essentially, that's what we did.
I think there's a lot of romanticism around this whole idea of getting married, finding your soulmate. You see it not only in media, like, you know, Bachelor, Bachelorette, whatever, but you also see it in real life. And I think it's the same idea that happens in college. You think you're just going to graduate from college and someone's going to be waiting at the end of the podium with your diploma and a job,
Yeah.
you know? And the same thing, I think, goes with marriage. I think that you think the big struggle is finding that person,
Yeah.
you know? And then once you found them, you're set, right? The job gets handed to you right there. When in reality, that's just kind of the beginning.
Right.
That's just the beginning of the challenges and the struggles and needing to work together. So if you are talking to someone, let's say, you know, we're a couple here, and we work together. We've owned a business for 7 years. We have 3 kids. We've been married for 7 years, and had a very rough kind of beginning, I think, and every year has been subsequently better and better and better. But, you know, what would your advice be to someone who is thinking about, you know, owning a business, starting a business, maybe purchasing a gym, right? Doing something together. What would you tell them? Would you tell them just do it? Would you tell them go get a therapist
First.
That depends on the status of their relationship. If they have a very strong marriage and they have, you know, fixed, or they don't have a bunch of problems that are going on between them, then consider it. But it's kind of like having a baby to fix a relationship. It's not going to work.
You definitely don't start a business to do that.
If the relationship is
it brings
strong,
out the worst in the other person.
It does.
You know, business changes things for sure.
Yeah, so I would kind of look at it in that
where the
light.
foundation is of the relationship.
Yeah, the relationship is strong, and you guys think you can do it, and you're willing to put the work into the business that you've put into the relationship so far. You got to treat it as such. Marriage is a business. You know, business is a marriage.
Yeah.
So that'd kind of be my advice. Like, hey, think about it first. Do you guys have a strong foundation? Are you good business partners in your marriage?
Yeah.
If you are, then take those same philosophies and that same practice into your business and have fun with it.
How do you juggle, I guess, being humble enough to give the responsibility to the other person? Because Corey, maybe you're like, hey, I would really, even though I ran the gym for all this time while you were pregnant and everything, but I'm not as good at XYZ. Maybe you have the background in payroll, right? So at what point do you have to kind of say, okay, babe, you're a lot better at this than I am, you take this? Or in an area that maybe you're very prideful on, it's not, and you said both of you are very prideful, like how do you
acknowledge those like strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, and kind of delineate the responsibility, because there's a lot that goes into this.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the number one thing is that we both have extreme faith in one another. I know I have my strengths. She's more of the, you know, the marketing, the behind the scenes. She can get people's attention. She can bring people in here. Whereas I'm the one who kind of handles like the day-to-day operations and can
Provide the service.
provide the services and the interactions with people. So that being said, she knows that if I need to take over something on marketing, that I can get it done. I know
Like
that
a
if she needs
trust
to
him
come and
to
run in
do
the
it.
gym, we just have complete faith in each other, just as if we have faith in our own selves. So at that point, it really just comes down to pride. It's not about thinking like, oh, she can't handle the job. It's and this is something we're currently going through. Like as we speak, she's starting to take the back end stuff and bringing on an assistant, because I'm a firm believer that I can do anything. Like she said with the therapy, I'm a self-help specialist. Like I can do everything myself, you know. But when I'm training clients for hours on end and then trying to get the back end stuff at the end of the day when I'm fried,
just not working.
I need to realize, you know what? Yeah, I can do it, but look at the strain it's causing me. She loves to work from her computer at coffee shops. She loves that kind of stuff. Put some headphones in. Why not let her do what she loves and let her take that from me?
Yeah.
And then allow me to go do more of what I'm good at.
But usually it stems from we're both trying to do it all, and then we can tell, like, okay, it's getting a little crazy. And usually he's the one who's like, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And I'm like, we need help, we need help, we need help. So I think together we're able to identify times when we're like, okay, this is a time where we're going to have to like step back and reevaluate our roles and how we're going to delegate things and things like that. So like you said, we are going through something right now that's really challenging, and it has to do with us not having clear roles and like who's doing what, because then nothing gets done because I assumed you were doing it. And so communication is huge. So it's just a lot of trial and error and just like figuring it out, I guess, you know.
Again, that kind of stems down to our foundation as a marriage, though, because if I didn't have faith in her,
the trust has to be
the
there.
trust is there. So these issues that we're dealing with or that we've dealt with will probably be a lot more challenging if we didn't even have a strong bond between each other or a strong trust between each other.
Or even maybe that background of already having some of the therapy so that you know the importance of the communication.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Do you take breaks? And we do need to wrap up here, but do you take, how do you take breaks or kind of give back into your marriage? Does that happen? Do you just work on the business together and that builds into your marriage? Because I feel like
We love running our business.
For us,
We love running our business, so that when we get to sit down and do stuff like this
It's
is
fun.
bonding for me and her, because we enjoy this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll let you answer this one, because I'm bad at that. I'm not good at knowing
Well,
when to
we're
stop.
just really extreme in whichever direction we're going. So if we're working real hard, and our time together is us at a coffee shop or us here together all day long. But when we want to like completely unplug, we do go on vacations and we go on date nights and we do things like that to kind of just be like, okay, no work talk. But that's probably the hardest part about working with your spouse, is there's no off button. Like, I don't even, like, we'll say like no talking about work, let's just watch this movie or just hang out, and it's just so natural for like, hey, did you do that, or you know, and it just never ever ends. So we're trying to implement those types of
conversation pauses at dinner.
Oh,
Well, the thing.
So anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what do we have to talk about if we don't talk about work?
That's what I was going to say, is like 90% of our time we're working, and this is our passion, this is our hobby. So when we stop talking about work, it's like, you don't like kickboxing.
Yeah, like-
what do I talk? I don't like the Kardashians. What
Yeah.
are you talking about? You know? So it's actually
We're trying to figure out, what do we have in common other than work?
I think
you know?
the main thing we need to unplug with when it comes to separating family from work is our children. We need to spend good quality family time with them, not talking about work. If her and I go, like, a cool business trip for us would be awesome. Like, if we could go to another state or another country for work purposes, that would be great for us, because we're so passionate about this that we don't really need to stop talking about work. I think unless it cuts into like family time after work or on the weekends. One thing I know is hard for me is I'm usually spent by the end of the day. Like, I burn out every single day. Like, literally, I start training at 5 a.m. and I usually get home at like 6 or 7. And sometimes she'll come to me about like small work things. I'm like, just not right now.
Yeah.
I've had enough today. But that's probably the only important time it is for me to stop talking about work. But yeah, we love what we do. It's we get excited talking about this kind of stuff. So that is our family time,
Yeah.
or our marriage time.
Well, Alicia, Corey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you like being vulnerable enough to share some of this, because it's definitely, it takes, I think you said you're both very prideful, but I think you both are really very humble, and you're willing to not only talk about this stuff to like basically two strangers, but also share this story. And I think there are so many people out there, so many couples that maybe would like to work together, or so many wives out there that think, man, it would be so great if my husband would be willing to partner with me, or a husband out there who's like, man, I have this dream and I'm running this business and I so wish my wife could get the vision as well and come with me. And so I think that people will be able to look at this video and kind of get a sneak peek into your lives and to see what it really does take, and kind of maybe the things that they have to do, whether it's changes or whether it's even for them, I guess, and be self-aware enough to realize, okay, that's a dream that doesn't need to be pursued because it would impact my marriage negatively, or wow, this is really something that we can do together. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Really appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
for having
much.
us. Like I said,
is
this is what
fun.
we're passionate about, so we don't mind sitting down
Yeah.
and talking about it.
I love it.
And we are really open about everything too. So
That's cool.
I ain't
We
gonna give
don't-
anybody fake advice
yeah,
or
we
like
don't have
filtered
anything to
advice. You want to know what it takes for us to run our business? I'm gonna tell you what
I'll
it
probably
takes.
scare you
It's
because I'm
not
gonna
the
be so
prettiest-
honest,
yeah.
but
it ain't always
yeah.
pretty. It ain't always easy. In fact, it's rarely pretty or easy. So I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything for somebody
You gotta
else
like
who's
a
trying
good
to-
challenge, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way that I discovered both of you was your social media accounts. So for everyone who's watching or listening, where can they both connect with you?
My social media is Alicia Jones, so it's just my name, but it's alicia.jones with 2 S's at the end.
And this is Instagram.
I'm sorry, yeah, Instagram.
and my Instagram tag is Coach Corey Jones.
And then we have our website. It's The Trainer Jones. That's what we go by.
The Trainer Jones.
Yeah.
You're
The
probably
Trainer Jones.
if people want to follow along with us though and like actually see what we do on a day-to-day basis, Instagram's going to be the best because
like
we're
my
constantly on our
blog.
stories. We post stuff just as real as we kept it here. We keep it on our social media posts.
And
so.
your stories are both amazing. I mean, for
Thank
both of
you.
you guys are chronicling what you're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I was a part, in some very limited way, of course, of the whole Thailand journey and everything that you guys are doing there. Looked at some of the Muay Thai stuff, but they really have a very cool social media presence. So
thank you.
anyone who's out
Thank
there,
you.
check them out. And then if you're in the San Marcos area or anywhere around, check out the Self-Made Training Facility. It's across the street from the Fries.
Yeah.
And I think everyone kind of
San Marcos Boulevard in Bent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks again.
Thank you
Absolutely.
guys.
Thank you guys so much.
You guys have a good day.
You too.